Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Loknath and this woman were sleeping in the tent and using the bathroom that the chauffeurs used in the garage. But Babaji had me stay in the same apartment that he was staying in. I slept on the marble floor. I fortunately had a small mat. And I have to tell you, I had no idea what was going on. I was like clueless. And I didn't know what to think, what to say, what to do, what to feel. And those next 2 days, I was there in the apartment with him all these times when he wasn't in public doing things. And it was as if I didn't exist. He would throw fruit to people, he would talk to people, he would joke with people, and I would be just sitting there. And it was, he would look right through me as if, as I said, it didn't exist. But then on the second day, I found him outside. He was alone with Sheila, who is no longer with us, but was very instrumental in Crestone being developed and was a wonderful Babaji devotee who was actually Aditya's aunt when she was alive. And so I went up to him and I said, Babaji, please may I stay longer? And he said, the government is very strict. And I said, but Babaji, you're the government and I'd like to stay longer with you. And he said, you can stay one more day. So one more day went by and he was moving from there to Palo and Ugendra's in Juhu. So the woman had also been told to leave. Loknath tricked, did the whole thing. Loknath decided that leaving meant leaving the place where he was and going to the place where Babaji was going. We thought he meant go away from where I am. So we took a trip and I saw a lot of India. We went to all different places, the Taj Mahal, and this was just before Christmas by now. And on Christmas morning, we met him in Vrindavan and I went up to him and he blessed me and he said, you come to Harakan and you take care of this boy and you give this boy your down jacket. And so we went to Haldwani and spent the night in Haldwani, and then we went to Harakan, and that was the beginning of most of the time for the next 4 years for me. So I don't know how he calls other people, but it was a miracle to me that he came into my life. He called me, I went, and everything changed. Everything changed from then. I mean, brings me to tears now, even when I think about it. About the name Motu, we were talking at the beginning about my name is Morgan, which is actually not my birth name. I changed my name to Morgan after India. And Babaji gave me the name Motu. And one night I was sitting in Darshan and I was thinking to myself, gee, I wonder if he'll give me a name. He seems to be giving people names, but he hasn't given me a name. And all of a sudden, like this. And I went up and he said, your name Motu. And Gora Devi was sitting there and I looked at Gora and I said, what does Motu mean? And she said, it means fat. And I was just I was mortified because I always thought I was too fat. And over the years, it changed from Motu to Motu Begum, which I think it means queen, to Motu Begum Mahal, Motu queen of the palace. And he did the same.
No.
He did the same thing with Buri. He first she was Buri, then she was Buri Begum, and then she was Buri Begum Mahal. And then when years later, when he initiated me as a yogi, I can't say the first female yogi because of Gora, who had a special place. But he changed my name to Motu Mai. And then finally he changed my name when he gave me this very intense sadhana to do just before I left the last time. He changed my name to Motu Mai Gosain Heriakandi Mahadevi Motu Mai Gosain Heriakandi Mahadevi. So you can call me Motu. I go by Motu or Morgan. And I mean, I can go into stories, and I will, and maybe we should go back and forth a bit between me and Filippo, so that it's not just me talking all the time. But I can say the main two things that I would want to get across about my experience with Babaji was that he taught me unconditional love, and he taught me to see beyond the normal of what people see. He knew my every thought, and he showed me in 100 ways, 100 times, that he knew every thought, and he answered every thought. And it was and he was hard on me. I mean, one day an Italian came up to me and said, Motu, Babaji is always so hard on you. Why is he so hard on you? And I said, well, I would rather him be hard on me than not pay attention to me. But I had a special relationship with the Italians because I was in charge of telling them what to do in the morning. And they would all say to me, Babaji already told me what to do in my mind, so go away, Motu. So with that, I will turn it over to an Italian. Filippo, you're up.
Well, my story started before I met Babaji. I had a story also with motorbike. I made a trip from Tierra del Fuego to Alaska when I was 19.
Wow.
And we were 2 motorbikes and a car. It was a wonderful trip. But then just in California, after 30,000 kilometers, we were in 71, I had a terrible accident. I broke my neck, my back, I had 35 broken bones. And I was taken to Fresno Hospital. I was in Sequoia Park when I had the accident. And then there I had a near-death experiences, because it's so cold, in which the feeling was also wonderful. I didn't had anesthesia, and I didn't want to coma. So I had all the operations. They put here some with the screwdriver to hang my neck that was broken. It was really, I should have been paralyzed. So it's a miracle I was alive. In that period, I had moments in which I felt from much pain, I went to a state of consciousness in which I felt that I had a clear feeling sometime, I don't know how long it lasted, that the hospital was inside of me. I was like space. I was like consciousness. The body in that room, that bed in which my body was there. I was not like a ghost outside of the body. Just the feeling of being like space, and that dying have no meaning. That all my mind will always been completely in a dream, because death does not exist. It was very clear, and the dying is nothing. Also, I was 20. I was in Machu Picchu when I became 20 years old, and there was only one tourist in Peru, Machu Picchu, only one tourist, because those times were really. In that moment, I really felt something spiritual. But then you come back, you are in the chest with a screw in your head, broken arms and legs and ribs, and say, how was it? 5 minutes ago, I had the feeling I understood all. I had the feeling of the immortal part of me. Now I feel that I am not the space. I am in this body. It is painful and uncomfortable. And then I had a good recovery. In only 3 months, I came back to Italy. And then I recovered nearly completely. I lost a few centimeters in age because my spine was compressed. I had back pain mostly all the time. I was lying down, I was okay. On a good sofa was okay, but sitting Indian style with straight back was painful. Just to wash my teeth in the morning start back pain because I bent down to wash my teeth. And my father, whole family was in the medical story. Oh, you are lucky you are not paralyzed, but you cannot recover. That will be worse with years. Then I read, I was, before this, I had in my hand the autobiography of a yogi. I remember exactly the moment in which I see the drawing we were speaking about a few minutes before of Yogananda about Babaji, that a friend gave it to me. I was probably 17, and I see the photo, see the drawing, read some few pages about Babaji, and I thought maybe these gurus exist only in the mind of the saint, in the meditation appear, but one immortal guru, you find it only on the book, but in reality, you will never find them. If it's really there, I wish I could find, but it's very, 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 very difficult that I will meet one of these kind of saints, of avatars that live immortal yogi of the Himalayas. Then year passed by, I came back from my accident, and I felt very nostalgic because I start to feel again that I was the body, that I was my mind, that was my ego, and I start after the accident. I started studying psychology, but I was not so satisfied because in the university they don't speak of spirituality or spirit. It's only very material, very, come dire, the developing of the ego, this mature self, nothing transcendental. I discovered many years later transpersonal psychology that became my field of study. But then Babaji started the story that I went to India, I passed by Rajneesh, I stay one day, I go away. I didn't want to belong to any ashram, any guru. I was reading very much Krishnamurti. I was not wanted to belong to any boss to depend on. You have to be light to yourself, not to depend on. Then after one trip in India, I back in Italy with me and Paolo. We had so many coincidences, so many stories. I dream about Babaji. I make a long story short. Then I met Goradevi that was passing by from Italy in 77. After that, many synchronicities. It's too much to, are so many leelas. They happened before meeting Babaji. That I said, if Babaji is really Babaji, one must go. If maybe it is not, it can be like meeting Jesus Christ in Palestine 2,000 years back, or maybe it's a trickster. I knew about hypnosis. I do experiment with hypnosis. So maybe this one is a hypnotizer. Maybe people goes there and can he really be the same of Yogananda? If he's not, it can be dangerous. So I arrived to Herakan with so many coincidences in a very particular state of mind. Also in that period to find again that state that I had in near-death experience, I try also psychedelics, and so also that were not satisfying. You have a peak experience, and then you come back and you are again as you were before. Then I arrived first time at Babaji in January 78 with Gora. Gora came back from England, where Babaji sent her to get married in England, have an English passport, because with belonging to the Commonwealth, she could stay in India without visa, with the English passport. So she was back in Milano on the way to Herakan. We arrived in Herakan January 78. And Babaji was very shocking. I had the feeling that what I had a little taste for a few minutes, for I don't know how many minutes in hospital, it was some kind of presence that reminds me that state of consciousness, that is like space, that is not only the body. Then he knew myself more than I can. Then I had the feeling that I knew him since ever, but in the same time, I never seen him. He look also very strange. Some moment he looks very young, some look old, some feminine, some very masculine, and was strange. Was not what one expected from a saint, because also was so direct, so continuous, spontaneous. We imagine the saint that is in kind of samadhi, always peaceful. Babaji can be very quickly angry and quickly smiling, quickly changing in every and really a mirror of what you were feeling inside. So everything was quite strange. Also there, I had strange experiences. The first trip ended with Prem Baba giving me Datura. Datura is very dangerous. And Babaji, the day after, they say they sent me away. I had the feeling that he said, you can go. And it was very good to me to go rest in an hotel, make my mind up of all was happening after a night. And with under the effect of Datura, I had incredible vision. All drugs were not allowed in the ashram. But also there was such a mass of so many coincidences that Prem Baba, I dreamed Prem Baba giving me Datura. The day after I asked him, he said no. I didn't know also very much of Datura, if not some books of Castaneda. Then Prem Baba appeared in a moment that, but I don't want to speak about it, too much complicated. Then I came back very quite shocked of the experience that Babaji, also the fact came away, Babaji came in the morning after a night of vision and he gave me his blessing and I went away. The day, the next year, I went to Palo Alto to study psychology. I had a degree in psychology in Italy. I came to America to study something different. And then came back to Babaji in 1980. And then started a different life. Because when I arrived to Babaji the first time, I was really, I did not understand what was all about. Also, I was very excited and I made up my mind. I was much more mature the second trip. And then it started, I was much back pain. And so I could not sit for a longer time when they give prasad. I asked Babaji, can I cook for myself in Gufa? So I stand up, I eat something. I don't have to sit in line for half an hour to wait for everybody serve, everybody eating. And Babaji said, no, you make Italian restaurant. So we started Italian restaurant. There was 3 fires under a simple roof next to the Gufa of Babaji in Gufa side. And there, I avoided to go to Arati those times. I went many times. I went 34 times to India. So my story with Babaji was 6 years. But then I went to Arakan every year since 2010. So many trips. And this time, I was not very fond of Arati, Chandan, and Babaji never pushed me on that. Giving me the restaurant, I have to prepare tea and coffee and breakfast for people going to Arati. He come every day, was very loving with me, and never pushed me. Then I felt also guilty because I say, maybe I see these German people waking up at 3 o'clock, doing all the sudden, I am enjoying myself, I cook, we laugh and eat well, we play guitar, and Babaji was always happy with us. So I said, maybe I am not a spiritual person. Babaji cannot take out of me so much. So, but then I do what I feel like. I was so in a good mood. Babaji was always present with us. Also, sometimes Babaji was giving darshan, and we were in Gufa side, and we don't feel we have to run there. And day after, we try all the time to be attached to Babaji. Then say, well, we feel the presence of Babaji everywhere peacefully. So we were not so attached. That's just to say. Then I remember that year, after this period in which I enjoyed myself, I was living in Gufa with Prem Baba. So you can imagine my daily routine with Prem Baba, and much fun and much enjoyment. And then I was feeling a little guilty to have been enjoying too much. And last day before I left, Babaji made me stay 3 days more with other people managing the Italian restaurant. And the last night he said, I thank all the Westerners that helped to make these people more beautiful and that they've been working in. And especially I like the Italians that with the Italian restaurant bring healthy and happiness to the ashram. So I felt, wow, I was feeling guilty. Instead, it's a good thing. Then the year goes, go, I keep on going. Then after 1 year, I heard about rebirthing, but I didn't feel attracted. I felt, wow, this is new age stuff. Think positive, everything changed. No, it's not that easy. I did meditation. I had a near-death experience and I didn't change. Imagine I can breathe and change my life so easily. I cannot believe. I try all my best and I'm always the same hard head. And so I could not be. But then 1 year, Babaji said, no work anymore with restaurant. You follow me. You meditate out of my door or near or down by the tree or the other door. And when I go out, you follow me. You take umbrella also. One second year, one other lila that I liked, that Babaji was giving darshan, and I start to go to all darshan, and people go very early, and also they were trying to be very close, and so I didn't like at all to push to be ahead. So I was always in the back, but I'd like to be more close. One time I bring to a small radio with the handle to Babaji. Babaji saw it, make me open the box, saw it and say, well, I like it, but you put it back in the box. You bring it here every morning and you start it only if I tell you. So every morning, whatever time I arrive, I could sit at his feet, and he never told me to take out the radio. That year, and it was funny. I said, what, he's a genius, because I felt that I had to be close with him, and if you want me to be close, he find also the way without being there to push to be ahead. Well, then that year also, I wanted to be more close to Babaji, and Babaji told me to be out of his door and stay with him all day. So it was amazing. I met a lot of people, become friend of Palu Yogendra. Some VP Indians were also staying there sometime. And Babaji said, you sit there meditating. So I met many people that become, with the years, good friends. And then was beautiful time. And then there once there was Arigovindi, the Italian Arigovindi. And the Italian Arigovindi spoke to me about the rebirthing in a very good way. And I say, well, you know, I don't like so much this story, Leonardo, it's too much, make it too much simple. Oh, yes, Leonardo, maybe make it easy, but it's a very good thing. And I don't even ask to do it. Then Babaji himself came out one of those days and said, tomorrow you go with Arigovindi and do a session of rebirthing by the Satikuntri, wonderful place. And there also was one day that changed my life very much. I went there, I started to do, she only told me, breathe deeply in a circular way, strong and no stop. I remember that when I was young, I was doing scuba diving and I did hyperventilation before, and that was some kind of same. But there I used to do 5-10 minutes and then hold my breath. Also do experiment during winter to see how long I can hold breath. And then now you have to breathe more than 1 hour. Keep on breathing. And then I felt this energy flowing on the body, much energy, then some kind of heat that was coming up my spine, then terrible pain, that when I was lying, I never had pain. He said, like having a knife in my spine, and then finally goes away. Then slowly, maybe I took 20 minutes of hyperventilation to go through my back. And then finally, I have some kind of release. I have some kind of, all of a sudden, like exploding, and all tingling pass, finished. All the feeling of dizziness, all finished. And I opened my eyes, and it was like when I was in hospital without paying such a heavy ticket or to be near death, because obviously the valley was inside of me. Me and the valley were one thing, the river, the sky, the temple up the hill, this wonderful tree. I had the feeling of unity that was the same I had in hospital. And then I felt, oh, this is spiritual experience. This is quiet, because I was trying to be good. I was trying to change. You arrive in Erakan, you see, oh, wonderful landscape. But after 1 month, you don't even see it. You are worrying about how Babaji is treating you, or you have to buy a new chapel, or what to eat tonight, or my back is pain back, and all the human stories that we have. Then in that moment, I was like waking up. In the evening, Babaji and Darshan smiled at me like saying, oh, finally you understood something. Fine. And I felt very, very happy. Then the day after 1 day, 2 days, I never had the pain. I have no pain. Strange, it's impossible. It was not psychosomatic. I have radiography. It cannot go away. I will have pain forever, they said. I didn't have any more pain. And then now in Cisternino, I enjoy taking the stone out of the field. And then I take so many, my wife said, why don't you build a trullo? Because I take so many stone out of the field. And I have pain back. And before I had pain back only to wash my teeth. That was really a miracle. Then time goes, then there is 83, 84. I was there when Babaji, a few days ago, weeks ago, I read all the diaries. I always kept diaries, very precise diaries, all this trip. And I read all the diaries, and I was there before Babaji was dying. And Babaji said, soon I'm going to leave my body. And I did not remember he said it. And we were there, several people. Nobody really took it seriously. And it's written in my diary. And then I write in the diary, that is the best period of my life. Babaji gave me initiation, gave me the mantra. I was feeling, I had so skin in my belly was the same of my head. So I really, now I have the big belly. It was, and we were few people, and we were really friendly. Me, Shani, Karku, Argovind Baba, Raghuveer, other people, I'm forgetting, all devotees, probably Pujari was there, other people, we were so much, I see in the diary, Babaji was saying, be ready that Kranti will start soon. And in that moment, in my right eye, I feel in paradise. I never been so well. Babaji make me start. The year before, Babaji said, who have a big place in Italy, in his country, should start an ashram, make the life we spend here. I had, in my family, my grandfather was very rich. He made a castle, 94 rooms. And then he had 16 children. So the castle was not a family house, was divided between 3-4 families. Nobody, during the war, the German were there. All the furniture was not in a good shape. And then too big for anybody, with no heating during winter. So it was really more or less closed. We make some party once all the time in the garden. Babaji said, I look at me and say, we have a big place to do that. You look at me so clearly. Then I say, well, but I don't have the money to fix it. I have a relative that I have to fight with to have the permission. I don't even know if my father gave me the permission to use the castle. So I went to Gora to speak with Babaji. And Babaji, yes, you have to do it. You can do it. I said, oh, I need a lot of money. I need, who will be the leader? You will be the leader. Well, I don't know. I don't feel you with my blessing. I don't have the money. You will find the money with my blessing. So I came back feeling, well, we will see. My father, I spoke to him and he said, well, if the other relative are okay for them, you don't ask me money and you fix the castle, for me it's okay. Other relatives say, okay, if you don't ask me money, now we don't use it, nobody is doing anything. If you have friends and you go there to work and you put it in a better shape without asking money to us, nobody want to spend money for the castle, and also we're sorry that it was going ruin. So that started. And I spoke with few friends. We were all very friendly. And I remember with Shani, we have a good relation. With Raghu, Shani, Paolo, we went to the castle. We decided, here we can make a Kirtan hall, here we make the temple, here we make a Kirtan hall. And then in June, we invited people from Europe, from Italy, to have the inauguration. And I thought 10, 15 friends will come, maybe 1 or 2 foreigners, and slowly, slowly we will start. First day, people arriving from Holland with camper, 50 people were there. All started, I could have any control of what's going on because all was, I could not even take a decision, speak with friends. It was really like a river that take away all obstacle. And say a few times somebody can fix the electricity, and it's all started. And so we were also for a few time in a very exalted mood. Some problem really to start, we was responsible, and the practical thing, I'm not very expert in managing money. I sold an apartment in Milano, and then I did a good administration of my money. I spent nearly all in a short time. But then Muniraji came to Europe, and we made from Cisternino to London with Muniraji. Arvind Lal was there, and arriving in London, before leaving us, Muniraji said, first Erakan, second Galeazza, okay, was my ashram. So I was, well, we just started from a year and a half, and now it's gonna be great. We are doing well. And there, I think that what Babaji is doing for us, we always speak of the wonderful Leela. I was see also the terrible time I had sometime, because also the crisis, also Shiva is the destroyer of the ego. He's the destroyer. Also, Shiva Nataraja is dancing in the small image that he have under the feet that touch the ground. There is a small demon that represents the ego. And I think that while for years, for the starting of the ashram, I felt I am an Italian that have been studying something of spirituality. I understand very little of Babaji. I do my best. Then when we were in Erakan, Babaji died. We were the last we were this group of 10, 12 people, 9 people for the last chanda. And that Babaji died. We came back. After Babaji died and the Samadhi, we had an incredible time. We had a month in which we felt the presence of Babaji so much. There was such that also we were not sorry that Babaji was dead, because we felt that Babaji was sick. Obviously is not the body, obviously spirit. I cry only, Gayatri was there, saw me crying only when they put the body of Babaji underground, and some people try to take his hair. It was horrible. Say, well, we devour him when he was alive. Now we want to eat his body also when he's dead. This is too much, I felt. But then after that, we had incredible. There was a Shivaratri night, and I also had more discipline than when Babaji was there. We were feeling so well. In the diary of Erakan, after Babaji Samadhi, I was in heaven, and I said, when I come back to Italy,
can you mute? Okay.
When I come back to Italy with Shani, with my friend, we will manage perfectly the ashram. We will do beautiful thing. I have to be ready to feel the spirit that is guiding us. But then the problem started, I think, for many of us, because before I was a simple boy. All of a sudden, I was one of 12 disciples of Christ. No, you become a disciple. You have a mission. You are not anymore a simple person, because Babaji is guiding you. You don't know anything, and you have to surrender and fly low. No, you become. I don't know. I did not even. I felt. I was not aware of it, because I didn't even understood what ego was. And the spiritual ego is. No, I don't want to show off that I'm, material thing. but if you want to become a Buddha, also your mother is happy, it's something good. You don't feel that also that is ego. Also playing the part of the saint is ego, because you are nothing. You are the pure consciousness. You are not somebody. Babaji is acting you. So what you want to do, what you think you are, you become stupid. And we all became stupid. So all of a sudden, in this beautiful castle, Kranti arrived, and we were best friends. We were loving each other with respect. And in few days, we were in enemies, or not everybody, start the chaos. And then I had to close the castle. I spent all my money. I sold my office in Milano to live in the castle. And when I think it was starting, it's finished and finished the money. People that were always, when things were well, I was everybody's friend. Then became, oh, Filippo made all the mistakes. We worked for free for him. And now, yes, the castle fixed. And instead, I was in ruin. I went from 94 rooms to a one-room apartment, a flat floor that opening the windows, people were looking at me. So it was very nice and beautiful. My mother had it for renting. But it was so small that when I opened the trunk, there was the television, an electric heater, and my clothes. And it was, I don't know, from 5,000 square meters of the castle to I don't know, 30 square meters with bathroom and kitchen in all in one. So I really said, I mistake all. I felt I was completely crazy. Babaji wanted to test my selfishness, all my negativity was to punish me. Babaji put me from the stars to the depth of the hell, and I am guilty of all. And then also I was thinking of getting suicide. And one day I was sitting on the bed, and I thought of suiciding. That was no, I don't want really going to do it, but it was a serious idea. And all of a sudden, I remember that I was very happy sleeping near on the ground, on the gufa with Prem Baba. And now, because I have a small apartment, ground floor, I feel so depressed. And so a voice inside of me said, you have to be strong. You have to be courageous. I remember and in a few days, one devotee of Sai Baba lent me nearly for free a beautiful, wonderful flat with attic in very center of Milano, because he was going away for 2 years. And again, Babaji manifested himself, giving me opportunity that I could never dream about. Also, when I came from India with Rebirthing, I started to work like crazy, having so many clients. My first client was 6 in the morning, because people have to go to office. So, but I was always busy. If they want to have a session, they had to come. It was already dark. So I found myself, and I say, well, the castle is closed as an ashram. I cannot manage an ashram. It became a mess. I was paying for most of the people that were helping me went away when the things start to be heavy. Only people with no job, no money, who were staying in the ashram with their problems on my shoulder. Many problems came. So another story started. I do my rebirthing session, my seminar in the castle. So we keep the temple clean. And I bring people to Erakan, but I'm not going. I'm not ready to manage an ashram. The Italian devotees are too difficult to manage. And so there was Cisternino still going on, and then Asti started years later, Villa San Secondo. So also there was a period of life, and then I started to do seminars. I do 24 years. I made seminars in Villa San Secondo ashram. Then I did seminars in some seminar in Galeazza. Then when things were going in Galeazza, things were going well. And then relative that have property of part of the castle start to want back their part. I had the majority, 40%, but they got together and they did everything to take the castle for few money and take it away from me. So I lost the castle and I said, Babaji, why you did that to me? My grandfather was a doctor and wrote mens sana in corpore sano. No?
Yeah.
Mens sana in corpore sano, and they say, well, I'm the only one of the descendant of the grandfather and my father that is doing something. And then I went from the castle again down to the house of the servant in the back of there is a the garden of the end of the garden of the castle. So I was staying there for not for my seminar, but for my weekends. And the castle was to one of these old relatives without children that never goes there. It was some kind of jealous, envious that I had the castle. I don't know what happened. And also that is Babaji Lila and become very clear. The year go by, I do seminar all over Italy without having the problem of taking care of the kitchen and the hotel. And in 2012, in Emilia Romagna, where Galeazza is, came after the tower of the castle was 700 years old and it was in a perfect shape with very solid walls. Instead, an earthquake came in Italy in an area that were never considered prone to earthquakes, and the tower collapsed because the castle, if we were there, all the fall down, some part of decoration of the roof of the I don't know how we call it, immerli. Well, if we were there, we probably die because the garden was full of stone. And also 7 million euros for repairing. And it was the earthquake came in a spring weekend of good weather, and I could have been there. So Babaji saved me again, and I said, well, fortunately, the ashram was closed, because if the ashram was working perfectly, also my rebirthing story was going well, if the ashram going well, I would have invested also when I have my parents die and I have some money to spend, I would have put all in the castle and losing everything. So Babaji blessing were there. Then I worked very much in Asti, in Cisternino, 24 years in Asti, 10 weekends a year of rebirthing. I bring many people to India. Travel with Muniraji, again, very, very nice times. And then something like 2012, after being, Babaji told me that I was responsible of the Prachar Sang. That was what is published on Babaji for controlling how he spread his message. And then from 2010 or so, when I was president of Samaj, we did the review Om Namah Shivaya that everybody said is quite nice. But that I felt that people start fighting again. This ego problem that I had during Galeazza, I saw growing and growing also in Asti slowly. And people were envious, or I don't know. I wanted to do the Prachar Sang and see what was published, but they don't show to me because they were afraid that I could say no, for example. Many things. Or some people said that we have to do this meeting in every simple decision to be taken, to buy this or sell that. Everybody have to know, everybody have to speak for the new document of the ashram. Everybody have to speak. 50 people have to put their mouth in the middle. So it was crazy. The president that was doing so, I told him many times, that is not healthy. People, in Arakan for 30 years, I never heard how much money was paid to the Mansingh or Gorari, or we also in the meeting with the Indian Samaj, we speak very little of money, and few people are speaking of that. Instead, there was this utopic commune of the 80s in which everybody loved each other and were deeply friendly and share everything. That was not Babaji style. We were silent. Babajis were sending away people that were chatting at the chai shop. And we felt very together but repeating the mantra, being inside ourselves. Everybody of us never judge other people, because we were with Babaji is judging me and will judge other people. And I don't care how we behave. And we were the better relation with each other. When in the ashram, Italian ashram, started this story that everybody decide everything, that everybody have to share this, judging each other, then it became terrible. And I felt so hypocrisy. People that speak of truth, simplicity, and love, and they are not even able to be friendly with each other. What you want to teach other people truth, simplicity, and love, when you make it very complicated? There is no love, is not simple, and absolutely no, there is no love. So I felt that it was so hypocrisy. Then I felt I won't go anymore. One time I went to Cisternino, I made a seminar. I gave as a donation 5,000 euros for 1 week. And one lady said, they come here, they suck our energy and don't do any karma yoga. I was paying for being there, and I said, my people will enjoy to be in the ashram, but are not going to work for the ashram all the time. And I was paying more than, but this thing, I said, well, I don't come anymore. I went to do seminar elsewhere, feeling there was more spirituality in the bed and breakfast of Shakuntala, that were not doing pujas every day, but was very friendly and loving. I don't know if I'm too long. Now I reach in a few minutes the present moment. And then I felt that Babaji was with me, that I don't need to belong to the ashram, that I was myself with Babaji, that I was not a piece of a group. Friends remain friends, but I don't belong to any president, any rule, because if the group is unhealthy, I also feel sick. Instead, for myself, I'm okay with my wife, I'm okay with my job, my life and my health were okay. Why I have problem? I have problem because the ashram is not going as I wish. The people are not treating me as I feel they should. And all this story, because Babaji's story is not going well. Because also I'm guilty because I should do more, but I don't feel to do more because I don't like to go to the ashram anymore. I don't know how to discuss about this thing. And then I didn't know what to do. And then I really felt, well, for some people, I felt better than before. Well, getting out of the ashram made me feel peaceful again. Then I was sorry to see the things were very difficult. There were stories in the ashram, the crisis. And then in a few times, I'm in touch with people in Cisternino. Friends remain friends. I'm not, also if I don't go to ashram. And I see that something new was starting, that the crisis was over. And I felt that the Kranti that Babaji was talking about, to be ready to the Kranti, is the Kranti of our world, not the universal world. It was personal for our group, that we were going to do a big Kranti. And then after Kranti, Shanti. And maybe it's good to go to a Kranti, because it's necessary to go to a Kranti. The Kranti is good, because what I learned that all the mistakes come from my ego. I don't have to judge others. I have to serve people. Instead, I was, I felt bad because people don't respect me or because speak bad about me. And I should not care about that. I should try to help them without reacting to the negativities of the other. If not, I go to the same level. So I felt that something new was happening. Then Cisternino had a new, there is good friend working for the foundation. It's very complicated, the bureaucracy in Italy. The foundation are the property of the land. Instead, but cannot make money, produce anything, because it's only a very prestigious representative, but have to give in comodato d'uso to an association that can manage the property. So there is foundation, association, groups, but then good people were working with the association for the foundation. They're starting to, but they need money, because in Cisternino, they didn't pay some taxes from the building since the time of Lisetta, because the law was not clear. All of a sudden, some buildings are not built as they should. You have to pay this taxes are very much, 40,000 euros or so. And they had some money, they spent all. And there were money, the foundation, the association, the Indian, the Italian devotees didn't have. And so we were much trouble. And Mukandi, there was in charge of an association stop me if I'm too long. Mukandi wrote a letter to Arvind Lal, knowing that he is president of the Indian Samaj, asking for some economical help if the Indian Samaj could help the Cisternino ashram. But he had no answer for a long time. As I was, since very long time, much friend of Arvind, because I met him since the 80s. Then I was a guest in his house so many times. He helped me. I really am very grateful because he was always too kind to me. Also, when he came to Italy, he was in my parents' house. Then we traveled together many times, also in India. So we became real friends. So I said, I phoned to Arvind to listen to the situation, if he can help. Now, having him so much success in the morning. In the moment, he's too much successful in his job. And so he spoke to me and he said, well, I would like to help what you suggest. I could help the ashram, but I understood very well also in my job, the ashram, that if you don't want to fall with the face on the ground, only 2-3 people have to decide the thing. There will be few people that met Babaji, they take a basic decision. And they say, well, I always said that is for years I've been fighting because I didn't like this meeting of 40 people because somebody knows about money. We respect him because we know maybe he speaks with 1-2 people. We put it in that we gave him his responsibility. If he does wrong, we'll send him away, but he knows what he's talking about. It become a really mess if everybody want to be in all the roles. So I felt that is quite right. And so also, I wrote the book of Arvind is so touching. It's really, was very important for me. He had 130 miracles from Babaji. If we want to talk about the Leela that Babaji could do, Arvind had so many. And also he was very successful. He speaks of his success, material success, all he did. And at the same time, it's so clear that one can have a big ego, surrender it completely to Baba. I read his book, well, also he show his success. And at the same time, you feel that it's so clear that all was done by Babaji, that he don't take the merit of all, that Babaji is doing all. And that is most important because we have to be ourselves, put our skills, and at the same time, really surrender. And that one can be himself completely because many people don't understand. If I want to not to have an ego, what should I be? In a samadhi, always smiling? Or I have to be myself, what the nature wants from myself. But I can do it without pride, without egotism, without egoism, only if I completely surrender that Babaji is acting through me. But that not in theory, not because it's beautiful. When you see that your ego is nothing, the idea you have about yourself is not an entity. What I think of myself, how I see me is not me. Is not an entity, is a mass of thought that change very quickly, change the mood, you change imagine. You imagine to be a person, you imagine to be the role you play, but you are not that. You are consciousness. And again, we start with that. And Babaji was destroying our personality. But when you find your true self, it's not the ego that found it. You find that the ego is illusion and yourself is just being. And just a simple feeling of being in which life happened. And you have to, it's impossible to explain because this kind of reality is what Babaji was make us feel, but have to do more than trying to be good or trying to reach the spirit, to see the illusion of the ego. And seeing that with clarity, then you surrender, and then Babaji is playing through you. And you don't feel responsible, and you feel merit or guilt through things. And so now again, I feel very committed to to be in the ashram, not with a role, but to help people not to fight, not to take it personally, to make understand that they don't have to, they have to repeat the mantra to be happy in the ashram and not to speak about money. Few people have to do it. And I feel that through Arvind, come to me this teaching that is very important now, because it's not too much people go in the mind, in the head, and then they fight. It's not that the people are bad, the people are negative, the people are selfish. It's that if they, instead of meditating, instead of being the ashram, they start talking and having the illusion to be someone that has to do something, also with the best faith to do the good, they do bad because they feel that to be someone. To understand that we are not someone, that nobody is somebody. Only an eternal man is everybody.
Filippo, I'm back, and I'm so grateful that I can be back and hear what you're talking about, because
It's very long. I think
maybe it's long, but I didn't hear some of it, but it's all good material, because it happens in whatever organization we're in, including all the ashrams around the world, and we know that, and you brought that up. I'm just wondering if we can bring in some other voices around this idea of ego and how Baba helped us with that. Motu, did you have that experience too?
The experience of what?
Of the
Ego? Did you hear the ego?
No, that one that Filippo was talking so beautifully about, that.
No. I mean, I think it was all about ego. Because every time the ego would come up, you would get somehow a lila that was a big slap in the face so that you woke up.
I took many joy, many unbearable joys, but many stick on my head.
Yes, and the last 40 days I was in Harakan with Babaji, I had a very intense sadhana that he gave me. I wasn't to speak. I was to meditate 8 hours a day. For one day, drink only milk, one day drink only water, one day drink only juice, one day drink nothing, and then start over again. And I have to tell you, it was really hard. And I felt afterwards, I heard this voice in my head that said, you need to leave, it's time to leave. And I had a year visa. He had sent Malti and me around Europe to teach people how to set up centers and ashrams, which was part of this whole ego thing, and trying to tell other people how to do things the way we thought Babaji wanted them done. So I went to Babaji, and I still wasn't speaking, but I wrote a note, which also you weren't supposed to do. I wrote a note, and the note said, Babaji, I feel that you want me to.
The sound is falling away. The sound is not there.
Okay, so and he said, yes, you leave, and then you come back. But he had already, at that time, this was in the fall of '83, and he had already at that time started acting sick sometimes. So and we didn't really Filippo said, we really didn't take it seriously that he was sick. I mean, he would say, I feel 1,000 swords in my heart. But I always thought that was metaphorical. It was, and so I left and I got back to, and I hadn't finished the 40 days. I still had 4 or 5 days left to go. And I got back and I went and I did some business, and then I went up to Napa County, and I rented a little cabin, and I bought all this water and all this juice and all this stuff. And here I am, back in my practice again. And this voice in my head said, if I wanted you to do this, you would still be in Harakan. It was very clear, this is not why you came away from there. And then, of course, he left his body in February, and it just really wasn't possible for me to go back to India. And I felt that I wasn't meant to be in India. I felt I had, my position with Babaji was, and Loknath, and was a lot of administrative work. It wasn't carrying rocks, it was administrating and telling people what to do, and organizing things, like organizing Aditya's wedding when he had his wedding there and 5 million Indian people showed up. So I felt that he didn't want me to be there. I also felt that I would get involved because of my personality and my ego. I would get involved in the whole drama that I saw. I don't know if it ensued or not, but I'm sure some part of it did, of who knows what's supposed to happen next. Who, you know, because we didn't really know that Muni Raj had the position that he did. And I must say he was incredible and amazing. But so I didn't go back, and I felt so judged. I judged myself so terribly for years that I didn't go back for the Samadhi. And I did go back in 1984. I won a trip in my real estate business to take 2 people to London. And so I took Gayatri, and Gayatri and I went to London for a few days, and then we went to Harakan, and all I did in Harakan was cry. I would just sit in the kirtan hall and cry. It was just so embarrassing. And then we went and we saw some other gurus. We went to Pondicherry, and we went to see Sai Baba, and I'm not even sure quite why we did it, except that going to Pondicherry was a really amazing experience. And seeing Sai Baba and comparing him to our experience with Babaji showed me what Babaji was for me. But I mean, there's so many stories and so many leelas. But after I'd been back for about, well, for 5 years, I guess, I was still in a meditation group, and in my meditation, I saw this very clear picture of a child's face, blonde hair, blue eye, baby. And the message was, go to Romania. And this was in 1990 when Ceausescu, the dictator, had been shot, and everything, the wall came down, and perestroika happened in Russia. And so I made some connections, and I went to Romania. And the next 20 years, I spent half of my time at Babaji's insistence both verbally and synchronistically. I spent the next 20 years helping children get medical help, which was not available. We as Americans all thought that the Russians were so far ahead of us in so many ways, and they weren't medically ahead of us. I mean, the hospitals were, it was really hard on my heart to see what I had to see, but I was able to help over 1,500 children in 20 years get medical help and get adopted by families from the United States, and and I adopted my own daughter, who's doing extremely well all of a sudden, who had spent many years going through a lot of difficulty and anger. So I realized that I mean, I felt like I needed to do my karma yoga, and I saw what I was doing with the children as karma yoga, but it didn't feel like personal karma yoga somehow. I don't know how to explain it. And then Babaji came to me in a meditation once very clearly, and he said, your karma yoga is to go everywhere that you can, travel as much as you can, and spread my light and my love in Russia, because I'm coming to Russia, and there are a lot of Russians who are waiting, and you can go and prepare the way by being there with your light. And so it's taken me a long time to accept that just by being who I am and knowing that we are all one, and that we are all Babaji's energy, and he's within all of us all of the time. I always remember the quote when he said at Darshan one night, "I'm in your every breath." And so there was a lot to learn about ego by helping children, because people would say to me, "Oh, you're doing such a wonderful thing for these children. It's such a gift that you're giving." And it would be something that would really boost the ego. But I realized that the gift was for me. The gift was to me, to heal my own childhood, to be able to see that it wasn't me that it was doing this work. It was Babaji, and I was just the tool or the mechanism, so to speak, for this to be done. So, and I mean, and ego came up every day in the ashram. I mean, I don't think anybody could deny that. I always was brought up to be a pleaser, and Babaji gave me the job of going around every morning telling everybody what work to do. You can imagine going up to, Filippo wasn't always there because he was cooking on the Gufa side, but the group of black shirts were all sitting around smoking down by the riverbed where the Havan Kund now is. And I would go and I would say, "Now Babaji told me that you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do this," and they would all just laugh at me. I developed such a great relationship with the Italian men, because they would just laugh at me and say, "Babaji tells me in my mind what to do. Who wants to listen to you? Who are you?" You know, it was quite an experience. And I'll end with one big one, which was 1982 Christmas. Babaji told Loknath and me to create a Christmas celebration for the villagers and for the people in the ashram. And we collected money, and we went to Delhi, and we bought presents, and we had shirts made for Babaji, and we got things for the villagers, and we did everything, and it was a wonderful Christmas. It was really a wonderful Christmas, 1982. And about 3 months later, Babaji said to me, "Motu, I think you cheated the Americans with the money. You weren't clear with the money." And this had always been my issue. Like you, maybe, Filippo, I'm not so good with managing things with money. And so I went into the office for a whole week. I closed myself in the office, and I went over everything I had written down. Fortunately, I'd written it all down. Everything I'd written down about who gave what money, and what we spent on what, and where we stayed, and how much it cost to get there. And I had it down to where it was within maybe 200 rupees mistake I had made in all this calculation. And the whole time during that time that I was working on that, every night at Darshan, Babaji would go into this big long story about what a terrible person I was. I wasn't to be relied upon. I wasn't honest. I was worse than Srivastava, if anybody was there early enough to remember Srivastava. and I would sit in the back, way in the back, after usually having had this place up front, whereas Filippo also said everybody wanted to be up front, but here I was kind of hiding in the back, hoping he wouldn't light into me again. And then all of a sudden, one night, it just like a bubble happened, and I got it that praising someone is the same thing as degrading someone. It's two sides of the same coin. That we're not bad and we're not good. We're all based on our personal history, on our karma, on our whatever. we have our own story and we have our own things that we have to work on and our own ego to go beyond. And I won't tell you the story about how Babaji took me into that place where you went with the near death, Filippo, but I've been to that place with Babaji one day by the wall outside during lunchtime. And it's that there's no judging anybody and there's no judging ourselves, because Babaji doesn't judge us. He loves us unconditionally because that's what we all are. But we all have this, we've chosen this life, this type of life on this planet at this time. And we have what we each individually have to work our way through, and hopefully he'll give me what he promised me and Hargovind during the Hargovind Motu marriage Leela. He will give us liberation in this lifetime, which is what he promised me. And so that's my goal. And when I was initiated as a yogini, I turned over everything to God. I said, may everything that I do be for God. And I gave away all of my clothes. I gave away all of my pictures. I saw people walking around the ashram wearing my clothes, and it was, he gave us every opportunity, and hopefully I and everyone, and we still have it. It's not gone. He's still here. He's still here with us every moment. And he still knows everything that we do. I mean, the energy of who he is the energy of who we are. And it's what we make of it. And I think learning to stop judging ourselves, learning to let go of our ego, of needing to be right, learning to not resist, but to allow what happens to happen, because everything that's happened in my life, all the good, all the bad, has all led to a deeper level of connection to Babaji and to my own personal growth. So that's what I have to say about ego.
Well, beautiful, beautiful. You give such a deep expression from a deep heart place. I'm impressed from both of you. Filippo, also, you said it so well, so broad, the whole experience of Babaji. You both deep pronouns to you, how you were able to speak it out from your heart. It's such a grace and a teaching for all of us. It's helpful for me, for my ashram work, for being in Russia. It is a big gift to all Baba's devotees and beyond that. Like it's really, I'm shocked by the beauty of your depth, how you able to express Babaji's presence. Impossible, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, too much. I was not expecting. I felt I could say only a little of what one feels, because also my English is not so good. And then also the experience is beyond the words for many things. And there are so many leelas that happen, so many examples. But this, I think, that I felt Babaji in these days, that Arvind was really a messenger of Babaji, and took me that I don't have to react, because I think I'm right. I was giving you help, and you treat me like that. But we have to help other people, not to judge. That is so important. What do I care if one is mistaking? I say, well, you are mistaking. But that Muniraji said, you have to talk, sit together and talk. And then he's talking with the heart to solve the false fight, the false division, facing it at once, not reacting. Oh, I don't like him because he speaks bad of me. Also, if I helped him. He said, if one is not sit together and speak of money or mental stuff, but to solve the problem directly, speaking without willing that the other will tell you, oh, you're good, you're bad. Also, when people is very offended, maybe some people, Cisterino from the association said, well, maybe the foundation have given money to other ashram. And there is, oh, no, it's not true. The money was spent only for Cisternino. But generally, the person from the foundation, react very offended, you know, he said, why you all tell that to me? But then I also try to make peace within them. Now my role as a psychologist is to bring clarity and make things easier. What few people decide and we face the problem. Because one, come dire, when being able to see that Babaji, I remember sometime, we all remember the Leelas, that Babaji tells somebody, go to that man and ask me money in my name for some kind of project. Then go to the other man and say, if somebody come to you, ask you money, he's a thief, don't give them. So the one go to ask money to the person, sure that is Babaji message, Babaji, no, Adesh. The other people say, oh, this is the one that Babaji told me. He's making a trick, be careful. And also Gora and Buri. Gora told me a story in which she heard Babaji pushing Gora to do, pushing Buri to do something to make upset Gora. So, oh, it's Babaji himself that want us to fight. They were fighting when they took care in taking the bath to Babaji. And then I think why he was doing that, because we can see the fight, the personal conflict in the light of spirit, in the presence of Babaji, is only illusion, mental stuff that we can go beyond. Instead, if you are not in the spirit, well, it's important. How you dare to treat me like this? How you me, a thief? I gave you so much money, you think that I steal money. I work so hard and you speak bad of me. Or I'm your friend and you I do the work for the Satsang and you don't even give me the books. And you want to do things on my back. Well, I don't want to work. I don't work with you anymore. And that is, I think, is a very simple thing. But it's very hard to play because one thing, I'm right, you are wrong. It's not to judge is very hard. So that is what I'm learning this day. And Harvey came out right, like Babaji worked through Arvin in a very special way. And Arvin told me that in 1982, Babaji told him, you will become president of the Samaj. You will become famous in all India as a doctor. All things happened. Everything that Babaji told to Arvin happened exactly. And so Babaji wanted something going on. One way is always leading us. I expressed it not in the best way, but it's how I feel it. Thank you. I speak too much even.
Filippo, you're great. Thank you. But I do want to.
I had my arguments with Buri too that Babaji created.
Babaji, why did he do so? I was thinking, why? To test our ego, no, because we go beyond that. We see it because
to take us beyond.
If I see that what is really my ego, I see clearly that the ego is a bunch of thought, ideas, images, is not me. Then I'm free. So I'm Filippo anyway. I do my part. Babaji gave me Hare Krishna doctor, but I never use much the Hare Krishna doctor because it's very long. And so they used to call me Filippo. I keep Filippo the more easy. Now that I come back again, maybe one day before I die, I will become Hare Krishna doctor also.
I want to give folks who are here with us an opportunity to unmute and ask a particular question of all this beautiful satsang. It's lovely. Thank you. Does anybody have a particular question?
All people.
Everybody, you must have answered them all. Or a comment?
I promise that if you ask me a question, I will take only 2-3 minutes, no more. Don't be afraid, I don't start for half an hour.
Or another story of, since we're on the ego theme, anybody have another story of ego? I mean, for me, like Pujari said, this
I have a better one. Me. Who have a better story of ego? Me.
Nice one. Okay, go ahead, Gayatri. Me. What's your story?
I have a beautiful.
No, I just want to say thank you to Filippo because before going to Babaji, I got swept up into the castle life. And I had 3 months in Italy living in Galeazza. And I don't know whether it was because I was American and didn't speak Italian at the time, but they had me stain all the floors of the castle with cera rosso, this red wax. So I was on my hands and knees. I mean, it's a literal Cinderella story. I was dyeing the floors of the stone floors of this castle with red wax, and it just went on and on. There was like 4 floors, and it was grueling. My knees were red for months, and but it was such a beautiful lifestyle I never had. It was like we were living a couple hundred years ago. We were getting fruit, we were making jam, we were making bread. We were up on the tower of the castle every night smoking chillums and singing bhajans. I mean, it was magical. I didn't even want to leave to go to Baba. I loved it so much in that castle. So I had to thank Filippo, his mother, who was my sweet friend, and his family for that amazing experience in that castle, and where I learned everything about going to India. So when I finally did tear myself away and go to Babaji alone, I knew how to wrap a sari. I knew all the words to Arti. I knew how to ask for Chanda, and they enveloped me with their love and took me to their black family, because we all were wearing black. And just, it was magical. I will never forget it. I'm so grateful to you, Hare Krishna, doctor, for that beautiful, beautiful experience.
Gayatri, I have one minute sentence. One time you were in Galeazza and you went up you 9 floors, sweeping the floors and putting the red wax. Then you came down, you came to me and say, I always tell this story. You said, I love this castle. And you gave me, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000 like that. And then after you were sweeping all the castle, the 9th floor, one cousin of mine was there. Saw this lady that after cleaning on the tower, give me $2,000. I said, Filippo, where do you find these people? After working all day, give me also plenty of money. This time very much. Yeah, so fun. I always remember this story. Yeah, because when I was a Baba Lila, some people come there, wash all the stairs, and give you $2,000. Baba.
Question.
I have
Question.
can I take a moment, please?
Yes. Who is this?
I'm Saurabh from Istanbul, but right now in India.
Yes.
So
Jerry, that's who we were talking about last night. Sarah,
yeah,
here he is.
yeah, here I am.
You're making videos and stuff, yeah?
What kind of videos?
Are you doing some videos on spiritual things?
No, that's not me.
Oh, somebody from Istanbul was telling us about a Saurav last night on our J-Ho call. So I thought it might be you if you're in Istanbul.
That's the only Indian in Istanbul, and the only Saurav that I know of in Istanbul is me. So I was doing a podcast on Neem Karoli Baba, and I was doing a couple of other videos, but those are just songs. They're not any spiritual videos. They were just bhajans outside. Yeah. So I have a reverse story for Italy as well. My son was born in 2011. He's half Indian, half German. He was born in Singapore. And by the time he was 11 months, I knew that he's going to walk. And so we were also supposed to go on our holidays, the annual holidays. And I told the mother of my son, why don't we just go to India? So maybe if he learns how to walk for the first time in India, that's going to be great. But Nina is a beautiful person, but very German. And so she said, oh, no, not at all. You guys have more temples than schools, and you're backward and this and that and and the kid was born in Singapore, and I don't want the kid to go to India right now. So we're going to Europe. So I had a heavy heart, and I said, all right, we'll go to Europe. But we were supposed to go to Berlin, but it so happened that one of Nina's friends invited us to Italy, and we decided to go to Italy first. and we went to Milano, and I still carry that feeling in my heart that I know my son's going to walk in about a month's time, and I just so wanted him to walk. And it was crazy ego. I just wanted him to walk, learn how to walk in India. But anyway, we stopped in Milan, and we did an Airbnb, and that Airbnb was owned by a gentleman called Filippo Manzoni. It's great. It was just that when my son, we were there for a couple of days, for like 7 or 8 days, but and there was a picture of Mahavatar Babaji in Filippo's room, and of course there was a copy of the autobiography of Yogi, and I thought, oh well, everybody has that, so a lot of Westerners also read that. But on the 5th day, my son started walking, and he started walking towards the picture of Mahavatar Babaji, and it was just so surreal for me, because I thought, oh, that's amazing that he's actually walking towards Mahavatar Babaji. And in one way that I so wanted a certain wish, my ego wanted a certain wish to be fulfilled. It got fulfilled in Italy, and it got fulfilled with the kid walking towards Mahavatar Babaji. And well, it was a home owned by Filippo. And so I don't know if you can connect the dots somehow, but yeah, so when I saw Filippo's name on the Facebook post by Ramloti, I kind of wished that it was the same Filippo, but it wasn't. It's a different Filippo, but nevertheless, it's the name, and it's just that the essence of the story just connects somehow. And I know that Babaji in his Mahavatar Babaji form fulfilled a certain dream, desire, ego, wish, whatever, but it was beautiful. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you. And grazie, Filippo. Your story is the only 2 words I can say, but tutti bene. Thank you.
Good to you.
Yeah, we got the Maha Filippo here.
Yeah, right.
This is the Italian head we got. And I'm so glad Arvind backed you right into that little corner there, because that's where you belong. I'm so grateful.
Yes, Dr. Lald said, Filippo, Paolo, and Ramlotta, that we are good friends, never fight. And then none of the 3 wanted to do that. Babaji, we were all went away. I said, I never go back to the ashram. And then Babaji, in a click, as soon as Arvind told me that, I understood what the right thing. I changed my mind in a second. I understood that. Well, also, he's right. Babaji is not the mess that is around. One have not to react to the human stories that are around. And then when I say ego, it's not only that what inspires us to do something. That maybe is also the self that we have desires that are good desires to fulfill. Instead, the egocentric is different. It's not that I wish my son walk to India is reasonable. It's not real ego. Ego is when we put give importance to ourselves. Then our idea, our program also is good to dream. We have dream and desires is natural. There are not negative desires, and that is not an ego expression. Ego is I want to be better than you. I live in the future. I'm not dreaming. I don't want to be here now because I want to be different. Now I have an image. I fight to become that, and I want to look like I'm not. No, instead dreaming is all right. Other question? Other people?
Katina?
Question.
Hi, I just want to say, like, I haven't met Babaji in a body like most of you here, but when he appeared to me the first time in my late 20s, it was in the middle of a night, it was a dream, and he just told me, die. And then I woke up, and at that moment I was very scared, and I said, I don't know how and why, and I was just so shocked. But then when I woke up, I knew it was him, and I felt like there was an opportunity that I missed because I didn't know how to do it. And then it just puzzled me for years and years. And then only recently I realized it's die, kill your ego.
Yeah.
And that's then when I realized what it is, I started noticing things in my life, in my day, in my emotions and everything. And then now
Very
I know what I'm supposed to do. So I didn't have his lila in a physical body, but that was the message in my late 20s, and only now a long time after that I realized what it meant. So even if some of us have never met him in a physical body, it's still the same. The path and the process is still the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
And that's and that's like the theme lately for me. Even when I listen to the kirtans and the bhajans, it's like, for me it's like a celebration, it's music, but it's like also funeral music, because I know I have to kill the ego, kill myself, not as in kill myself physically, but kill the ego, notice where your ego is every day in the situations
To
and
be
the emotions.
reborn, one have to die. To be reborn, you're reborn.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, Shiva, please let me follow your sword, kill me. I don't want the ego, please let me see beyond duality. That's all. Thank you so much for your stories. I could listen all day. Bole Baba ki jai.
yeah,
Yay.
Just see that ego is not existent, because if not, is the ego that won't get rid of the ego, no? Because you are already the self. Everything is the self. Babaji is already there. So be yourself is just enough. You don't, because now if we want to get rid, we create an idea to be without ego. But I am exactly the same as before. But I feel free from the ego, because I know I am not that. That it will not change. That is not existent. It's already not existent. So you never lost the self. And you never been the ego. The ego is a mental image. When you recognize it like that, you are free. Trying to get rid of it, that is an impossible fight, because who is getting rid of the ego? Which only the universal ego will kill the ego, but it's not an enemy. It will take to his state. It will become the ego become the self, because surrender to the self. And so it is natural. It's here now. It's not time, space, and the nature work through you, and you become omniscient, omnipotent, and wonderful. But you have to finish the conflict. That's what I felt, if I speak for myself. You are very human. You don't have to be special. You can be also, and it's okay like that. If not, one dream, without ego, I will become a saint. He said, you are exactly the same, but you don't worry anymore to get rid of the ego, but because it never existed. You cannot waste your time to, no? You give energy to an ego that somehow does not exist. In the same time, when you don't see it, when you identify with it, then you are cutting that Maya, then become very powerful, because how can you speak so bad about me? It is very personal. I take it very personally, no? But he said also, one likes and dislike. In the same time, his nature knows, well, this is nature play through me, but I surrender to something that is beyond. My true reality, I cannot grasp. So I surrender and I let life, and life go in harmony. I'm not fighting anymore to be, not try to anger, to rise yourself up by yourself, to think you want to make yourself better. When you say, Filippo, be quiet, you make two Filippo, one Filippo that is the one that is not quiet to tell to himself to be quiet. Huh? Galata Maharaj was saying, when the mind want to get free of the mind, he said, the thief transform himself in the policeman to get the thief that is himself. The mind want to become the policeman to get the thief that is himself. And so you perceive.
nice.
But anyway, somehow is a right. Also, I want to kill my ego, to kill my ego. And in the same time, it becomes spontaneously when you don't put
Lucy.
doing that. Okay. And at least an advice for how it was with my story. Thank you for sharing.
Trilok Chand is asking something.
Ah,
Hi,
Trilok, it is you. I was not sure. Hello.
hi, hi.
Hi.
Thanks a lot for this session. I read it. I have recently subscribed to the Rakandi group, and thanks a lot for this sharing. I was lucky to spend the last 20 years of my life in close relation with Filippo, through which I did many seminaries, and especially I am grateful to Filippo the opportunity of having taken me to Herakan in 2001, my first trip, spiritual trip in India. Listening to this session has given me several input emotionally, especially emotionally, and at the same time a realization that if we persist in seeing in Babaji a human presence, we easily fall in the illusion that it is his presence that has given light to us on our life experience and to the world. During this session, listening many times about the word ego, and at the same time, the word I. Wherever we used I, also talking about our life experience, we are manifesting the ego. Somebody has given a registration, a recording of this session, and just for curiosity, it will be very interesting to count how many times 3 words were used: ego, me, and I. Not for the sake of judging, but helping to realize that every time we say I, we manifest ego. Experience that that is enlightening at the moment is when fusion and union come in our life, enjoying what is around ourselves and feeling melted in this reality without even having the need of saying I was there. Is a sense of melting, is a sense of belonging to a unity that doesn't require not a guru, not Babaji, and not even myself. It's there by itself. So grateful of this session, of this afternoon session. Let me be thankful to all of you and to the experience that I was experiencing, to experience the non-existence of I.
Ciao.
Thank you.
So does anybody else have anything to say as we come to the end of our 2 hours together?
2 hours.
To share a quick dream, if possible, about
Huh?
this topic. I would like to share a quick dream about this topic.
Great.
When Motu and I were living in California. We were going to a spiritual group together, and they came up about this idea that the ego has to die. And I don't know. I mean, I was young. I didn't understand a lot, but I asked Babaji, "Is that true? Would you please show me? Do I have to die?" Or this idea of me. And that night I had a dream, and we were in Babaji's kutir, and we were talking about that I have to die. And he said, "Yes, you have to die." And I said, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And he said, "Well, I could use this knife." And he picked up some ceremonial looking knife, and he said, "But that would be too messy." So he put it back down. And then he said, "Well, I could just strangle you." And I was like, "Well, okay." And he goes, "But better lie on my bed here." And I laid opposite the pillow, so my head was hanging off the foot of the bed. And he took my head in his hands, and I was looking up at him, but like reverse. And he had and I just started to say, "Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya." And he slowly started to turn my neck, and then all of a sudden he broke it. And all of a sudden we were not there on the bed. Well, first I remember looking down at myself on the bed with my broken neck and saying to him, "Oh, look." And he said, "Don't worry about the body. It's done. Come on." So the next thing we know, we were at this big party with a pool and all these famous people. David Bowie, I remember clearly seeing David Bowie. And I was like this little kid, like maybe 3 years old. And Babaji was walking me around holding my hand. And I couldn't talk to anybody, and I couldn't communicate anything. I didn't know how to use this new body I was in. But he looked down at me and he said, "Don't worry, you will grow I will help you grow up like a teacher gonna." And I woke up and I was just like floored. First of all, I still felt his hands on the back of my head. And yeah, I got it. I have to die, or this idea of me, or of who I am, and what I like, and who, all this stuff, that has to go. But I realized I could not do that. I had to lay it in his hands to kill me. And so it's by grace that these egos fall away and we find ourselves what we truly are. And it's by grace. You can do 100 peyote ceremonies. You can go in a cave and do it. You can work your butt off to get rid of that. But in the end, something becomes ready and it just falls by grace. It's not by effort. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion about this killing the ego, because good luck.
I wanted to share a thing.
That's so beautiful.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Jayashree has a question.
It's not a question. It's I wanted to share about some story about the ego, but I don't know if we have still time, or you are.
Oh, we have all the time. Anyone that wants to get up, I think get up. I'm just looking for you, Jayashree, so I can highlight you, but go ahead.
No, I want to say I also didn't met Babaji in body, but I started to go from 2009 to ashram. And a long story in short, music was always coming to me, and I shared mantras and bhajan in ashram, and at some point I'd say to Babaji that I would not want to do mantras anymore. I would never want to sing it anymore. I just want to go into Indian classical music and no mantras, nothing. And I went back to my school in India. I came only a few times to ashram shortly. And actually the result was that I could never play it anymore. So when I touched my harmonium, even no mantra would come. It was completely gone. And now I'm still like learn as a baby how to sing what was so beautiful, what I received so beautifully in the beginning, like real blessing and a present, but also the ego was there. I mean, I know many times that if they would ask to sing in the Navaratri, when there is the morning at 4, some mantras, then suddenly I would lose my voice, or I would say no, and then for a few days I would have no voice, because there was something about be appreciated with the music. Ego was always there. So maybe this is a phase of being a baby, like dying, like doesn't know anymore. I take my moment. I know the lyrics, I know the songs, but I don't know how to produce it anymore. So this is my feeling now with this kind of death, in some ways, of getting it, losing it, getting and maybe it will come in a better form, which will be more directed. And I mean, I don't know, but
It won't be better. It'll just be, like you said, more direct. Just Jai Shri. It'll just be that beautiful, no measurement of this is good, this is bad. It's just who you are. It's beautiful. And, I can just say, living at this ashram, I can go into, I'm right, nobody else is right. They're hurting me, all the things that everybody spoke about. And so I love what you were sharing, Gayatri, about the baby. It's like a baby. I just start calling to Babaji. It's like, help me. I don't want to be separated from all these people because I'm right and they're wrong or whatever it is. I just want to live here in harmony and peace, which I know by God's grace happens sometimes, but with my, and so I, like a baby, I just call out all the time, Baba, help me, Mother, help me, wrap your arms around me, just help me. And then mantra, to help to get back to that space of realizing that we are all one, and we're not righter or wronger, or we're just all doing the best we can. And we're all one with Baba. So anyways, thank you for this beautiful satsang. Anybody wants to share anything else?
I want to share the last bit about also with what Jai Sri was saying about learning a bhajan or singing a bhajan, especially for Jai Sri. When I learned my first bhajan, it was Amba Bhavani from Sheila Devi. And I thought, oh, I'm going to play that. And that was like my first bhajan I would play, where Babaji was present in the evening, after the evening aarti. And I was allowed to get the harmonium probably after Hari Govind played. And I wanted to start, and I was a little bit nervous because there was really a me going to sing a bhajan. And I want to start, and Baba, stop! Baba very strongly, completely blew me up from, you're not gonna sing. And I was devastated, of course. I want to share what Filippo said. Baba destroyed the ego. Everything what we love or we think we do with ego, he is the master of picking balloons. Somebody once gave like 20 blown up balloons to Baba, and he took some hard pin and he popped all of them. And that's what he's constantly doing with. That's why it feels like dying. We have to be gone. If we want to serve Babaji or see what we really are, we have to get out of the way. We have to be gone. And in life, beyond his physical presence, I can share that in my deepest experience, what I was sharing just with my wife today again, from how to let go. Babaji is helping us through very difficult circumstances that we have to break down. And I had one year when he broke many things down for me. And that was the year that my sister, my younger sister, she hanged herself. She killed herself in the house shortly after my father died, because he could hardly handle what was going on. And then after that, my wife wanted a divorce, and we had one daughter, Mira, at the time, and she was pregnant of the second one. And on top of that, the daughter got leukemia, so she got very sick and in hospital, and that all went one after the other, building in intensity. And then on top of that, I went to India, spoke with Muniraj. He said, Pujari, there's nothing you can do. You just have to surrender to this. So I came back, and I spent one half night in the ashram, and then the ashram burned down. And then I was there in my underpants outside, everything burned, and I had lost everything what I loved. It's from my family, my wife, my daughter was on leukemia, and the ashram burned down. And there I was with nothing outside, and I could walk one round in the forest and cry. And then I realized I'm here. I'm really here. And a kind of mystical experience came over me. There's nothing you can lose. You can never lose yourself. It's only you can become empty. You can really let go. And if you understand that state, you will never cling to anything. You know, it's all his. It comes and goes. It's the wind. We are not somebody. Like, I don't want to repeat Filippo and Motu Satsang, but you both shared it so beautiful. It's so inspiring. Just this part I want to add.
Very nice. It's very inspiring. I did not know, but that moment that when you lose everything and you find what is really important is really Babaji play. Babaji, and generally we in satsang. Generally, when we were doing satsang, everybody tell all the beautiful part, the romantic part, the beautiful lila. Instead, understanding this suffering is all right, and this suffering gives you going to deep in hell. You find liberation. Also, Jesus Christ went to hell at the beginning. The discesa agli inferi, no? Go down to the mondo infero. That the initiation is also dying to be reborn. So see everything destroyed is often, that is very important. What you said is very beautiful. I did not know you also have a big story to suffer. Om Namah Shivaya.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you so much to Filippo and Morgan, and I'm sorry for our internet going out, but thank you for Avanish keeping it going on. And
yeah, I'll try to figure out how to send the recording to you.
we'll work it out. Okay, we'll work it out, but thank you to everyone who's here.
Thank you, everyone.
Beautiful.
Sorry,
Thank
Jay.
you.